Hi, my name is Keith Bishop, and I am proud to be able to be welcome into your living room to meet the Board of Education candidates on the Republican side for our November election. We hope that you will take and be an informed voter and go to the polls the first Tuesday in November and pull the lever for the Republican team that's in front of you. Joining me this afternoon today is running mates Linda Santacora, immediately to my left, Sue Renner, and John Arlen. I'm proud to be associated with all three of them. We've got some wonderful opportunities and ideas to take and share with you here now, and we look forward to having you watch our other videos and join us on our campaign website, where you can get our emails and contact information and more information about us. The background of our Board of Education candidates here is very varied, and it is also one that will lend to strong skill set as we join other members on the Board of Education. With that, I'd like to ask Linda Santacora to tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background.
Thank you, Keith. I am a school-based physical therapist with over 20 years of experience. I work in one of our shoreline towns, and I think that brings a unique perspective to the Board of Education, because not only am I a parent, so I have that perspective, I'm also a very active community member, and I'm a school employee, so I understand how the decisions that we make as a board regarding finances and policy actually impact the day-to-day runnings of what happens in the classrooms. And I think that's a unique perspective that I have to offer, and I'm happy to share.
Good. Well, thank you very much. And so you've got your two wonderful girls that grew up bringing as well, and that varied experience, I think, plays well into how they've been brought up and the ideas and things that you're working with them.
Thank you. Yep, I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. I'm the mama of a teenager now.
Wonderful ages.
Yep.
As all ages have their great abilities, and then those that also tax us as parents as you go through the trials and tribulations of the curve. Sue, tell us a little bit about your professional background and your family, please.
Certainly, Keith. I've been a CPA for 25 years. The first half of that, roughly, was spent in the public accounting profession with large national firms, and then toward the end, when I started my family, I actually started my own sole proprietorship as a CPA firm here in town. And my career during that time was focused on the area of governmental auditing and accounting. That's where my interest in government really started. Then when I started raising my own family here in Guilford, my interest in education just grew and grew. I have 4 children. 2 are done with Guilford Public Schools and in college right now, and 1 is just starting. She's in 1st grade at Calvin Lee, and I also have a son in high school.
Now, you've got a unique perspective of having those that are out to those that are at the other end of the beginning chain, and that's a wonderful way to take and see the system.
That's true. I think especially having perspective, looking back on a process that one has completed, it's very easy to say what things stand out as being the things that really mattered. And I'm glad to be at that spot and to be able to apply that to my 2 that are still going through the schools.
No, I'm in my 2nd year of having no children in the school system, so this election here that I'm running in will be the absolute first time that I haven't had children in the school system. And my 4 children have now been completely through the Guilford Public School system, and now we're out of college, and the youngest one is sophomore. John, tell us a little bit about your varied background and expertise, please.
Well, this confirms that I definitely got married late. I still have a lot of young kids coming up through the system. I've got a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old. I spent a lot of time, probably too much time, getting educated. I actually have a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and a master's in biochemical engineering, as well as I went back a couple of years ago and got my MBA from MIT, which put a lot of perspective in terms of what I do. I've had a lot of different positions over time. Right now I'm the CFO and COO at a company called Sightlines. We provide facility service to colleges and universities across the United States. I have had positions in business development, which I think is really important, because business development is kind of about taking a lot of different aspects and trying to come up with new ideas and new ways to do things a little differently that are more cost effective and or add more value to whatever company or entity you're actually providing that service to. I had my own small company for a couple of years doing consulting work for both small and large companies, providing exactly that type of services. Right now, as a small business owner here in town, We actually get to see a lot of things that are going on, and we also get to go across the United States to take a look at colleges and universities, and hopefully bring some of that stuff back that we actually learn out there in the business world back to our town and back to the education of Guilford.
It's interesting that we all work in the community here. The three of us are in business here in town. I didn't mention, but I work right now for a cruise line that's headquartered in Guilford, and Linda is with the neighboring school system.
And
So
actually, to add to that, I also provide home care services to seniors in Guilford and
Guilford.
Madison. So, yeah.
It's really great to have that local perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you're then touching very definitively the lives of those people that need those services, and then hearing from them too, from the perspective of where your mother and parenting skills are at the other end of it for them being grandparents and
Right.
that age bracket. I think it's one of the things to reach out for is that while we are focused on educating children and the K-12 school system, I think education is a lifelong process and it never stops. And that's one of the things that's exciting for myself is continuing that dialogue and learning. And one of the questions that John relayed to earlier, I believe it was in our conversation, was you're excited when your child comes home from school and tells you something that you don't know that they've learned, and how education has changed to what those facts and those figures are that engage those young minds and make them more and more inquisitive. We've had many discussions, and there's been some major focus on the Board of Education since 2003 on facilities and what's the right thing to do on facilities. I think that has overwhelmed some of the other things that are probably maybe more important of actually educating the children directly themselves. Well, facilities are an important part of needing that space and how they define an educational system and what it provides. The facilities are second to actually the curriculum and the teaching staff and the resources that go into that. Linda's been involved in the board on policy development, which then reflects what actually the board carries out. The other two of you have been involved on the other side of it, and then seeing how policy then affects your children directly. So I'd like to go into the sort of the community side of how the educational process and our children goes into it. And Linda, you've got some very strong feelings on that involvement. Could you and Sue head that discussion off, please?
Well, I think that as we all are very, very active in the community in one way or another, whether it's through sports or through the services that you provide our Guilford residents for, social vacation activities and financing that. I think we all have a lot to offer our town, and I think that when we think about our schools and we think about educating our children, it's a very important job, and it's part of a bigger picture. And I think that serving on the Board of Education, we're really serving our community and representing them in making decisions that are in the best interest not only of the kids that are in school, but in the best interest of the community as a whole. And I think that's an important point to keep in mind and to remember when we think about our community, the resources that our community has to offer, and the best way to tap into them and to use them for the education of our students here in Guilford. And one perfect example is that this is an incredibly volunteer-minded town. We as a community volunteer in many, many different ways, and it's very much appreciated in the school system between our mentoring program that we have, people who put in time into creatively raising money like GFFE to provide enrichment activities that we never dreamed of. That's just a beautiful thing. We have businesses in town who donate the use of their space, who come into the schools to provide enrichment opportunities for students in areas that they may not otherwise have access to. And I think there's more. I think that we have a lot of scientists and researchers in town who would love to be able to provide enrichment for the teachers who are teaching our children science. I don't want to take over the conversation here, but it's all about community, and it's all about all of us owning the responsibilities of educating our kids, whether it's spending our money on fixing our facilities or replacing them, whatever we decide as a town is the right way to go, to other ways of being able to provide resources and tap into them.